Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, this is Imran Kazmi and we are going to study our lecture number 31 of Programming Fundamentals. In the previous lecture, we were working on structure and we had detailed discussion on structure with reference to pointers and arrays. We have studied pointer to structures and arrays of structures. In this lecture, we will work on a new technique of programming, and that is object-oriented programming. This is very important lecture. Dear students, as in the next semester, you are going to study this object-oriented programming in detail. Before we start object-oriented programming, let's discuss the evolution of programming paradigm. Programming actually started from procedural programming. In procedural programming, all the instructions are written in a sequence and in a single unit. Which are later on, we have divided the instructions into parts, and the new programming technique has been introduced as structured programming. Structured programming में हमने पूरे प्रोग्राम को डिवाइड कर दिया पार्ट्स में, जस्ट लाइक फंक्शंस, और पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करके हमने एक बिग प्रॉब्लम को छोटी प्रॉब्लम्स में डिवाइड करने वाला बेनिफिट जो है वो गेन किया, और स्ट्रक्चर्ड प्रोग्रामिंग जो है ये प्रोसीजरल प्रोग्रामिंग पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा बेनिफिशियल साबित हुई. बट विद द डेवलपमेंट इन दिस फील्ड, अ न्यू प्रोग्रामिंग टेक्निक हैज़ बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड जिसने इस सारी प्रोग्रामिंग टेक्निक्स को ओल्ड को ओवरकम किया और प्रोग्रामिंग की फील्ड में अपनी जगह बनाई. एंड द मोस्ट मॉडर्न प्रोग्रामिंग टेक्निक इज नेम्ड एज ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग. लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग. First of all, a program is a set of instructions to be executed by a machine. A program takes input in the form of data and process it and generate results. Object-oriented programming makes the program length short and increases its reusability. Object-oriented programming has become popular because of its most prominent feature, that is reusability. An object-oriented programming language is a high-level language which is legible for people and need translations for the machine. In the program design, bottom-up approach has been followed. Programs are organized around objects and grouped into classes. Objects can interact through functions and the design can be reused. In object-oriented programming, हमारा सारा फोकस ऑब्जेक्ट्स पे रहेगा और ऑब्जेक्ट्स एक दूसरे के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर सकेंगे थ्रू फंक्शंस, और फंक्शंस और ऑब्जेक्ट्स इंट्रैक्शन का जो डिज़ाइन है इट कैन बी रीयूज्ड इन अदर प्रोग्राम्स. Definition of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is a programming methodology that associates data structure with a set of methods, functions which act upon it. In object-oriented programming, we combine data structure and methods, also called functions, in a single unit called classes. These data structure and methods represent the characteristics of object and behavior of object simultaneously. Programs are organized around objects and grouped in classes. Let's discuss some of the applications of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming has become one of the programming buzzwords today. The promising area of application of object-oriented programming include real-time system, simulation and modeling, object-oriented databases, hypertext and hypermedia, artificial intelligence and expert system, neural networks and parallel programming, decision support and office automation system, and many more applications of object-oriented programming are working in the real world. So, on behalf of its features, on behalf of its capabilities, on behalf of its advantages, object-oriented programming technique is considered to be the most beneficial and prominent technique which is famous nowadays. We have some object-oriented languages that support object-oriented programming. The most popular language, C++, support object-oriented programming, C#, Eiffel, Falcon, Java, Perl, PHP5 and Python. These are some of the most commonly used object-oriented languages. Let's start some basic characteristics of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is based on objects and classes. We will discuss or get the opportunity of data hiding, data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and message passing through this technique. We will get the benefits of inheritance and polymorphism with the concept of object-oriented programming. Let's start from the first basic concept of object-oriented programming, objects. What is an object? Object-oriented programming uses objects as its fundamental building blocks. Objects are the basic runtime entities in an object-oriented system. Every object is associated with data and function which define meaningful operations on that object. An object is a real-world existing entity. Object is an instance of a particular class. Let's start from the first basic concept, object. Object is nothing more than an entity about which the organization wants to collect and process data. Object may be anything. It may be a concept. It may be a person. It may be a place. It may be a concept. It can be anything. Person भी हो सकता है. For example, student. For example, employee. For example, patient. It can be a place. For example, city. For example, country. It can be a concept. For example, salary. So, an object can be anything about which the organization want to store or process data. When we are talking about the term object-oriented programming, we have to face the most commonly used things named as object and classes. Objects are grouped together in a single unit named as class. Object having similar properties and perform similar functions are combined to form a class. And the single occurrence or the single instance of that class would be called an object. For example, if we have a class of 30 students, then each student of the class would be called the instance of that class. Similarly, if we have a class of employees, 50 employees, each single employee would be called as the instance of this class employee. So class is a collection of objects, while object is a single occurrence or instance of that class. Class refer to a prototype or template. It defines variables and methods that object supports. It is the basic unit of encapsulation. It is also defined as the collection of similar types of objects. The property encapsulation shall be explained in the next slide. Right now, you can think it as the class is basically a template or a single unit of objects containing data and methods that would be performed on those objects. While object is an instance of a class, each object has a class which defines its data and behavior. The method and functions included in class would represent the behavior of the objects, and the data present in the class would represent the attribute of the object in the class. So डाटा एट्रीब्यूट को रिप्रेजेंट करेगा और फंक्शंस जो हैं ये बिहेवियर को रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे. तो क्लास एक यूनिट होगी जिसमें डाटा होगा और फंक्शंस होंगे या मेथड्स होंगे that would be used by the objects. For example, if we talk about the term object, we have attributes and certain operations that would be performed on these attributes or used by these attributes. For example, if we have a student object, student name, student ID, branch, semester, are the attribute or properties of the student, while enroll, display info, result and performance would represent the functions or behavior of this object student. तो दो चीजें हमें एक ऑब्जेक्ट से रेलिवेंट चाहिए होंगी. नंबर वन उसके एट्रीब्यूट. Attributes are basically the properties which are in the interest of the organization. So each and every attribute of the object or property is not in the interest of an organization. Only those properties are included in attribute which are in the interest of an organization. For example, student name, student ID, branch and semester. These are some of the properties of object student, and we have included them as attribute of this object. And these are the functions or behaviors of the student object: display info, result, performance and enroll. These are the functions or the behavior of the object. So a class is a collection of similar objects. Similar object mean have similar properties and perform similar functions. For example, we have a class and we have 7 objects. These objects are of same size, same color. So because of their colors and sizes, or in other words, because of their common properties, they are grouped in a single class. Similarly, अगर आपके पास स्टूडेंट्स हैं, तो स्टूडेंट्स अगर BSIT के हैं, तो BSIT में अगर सेमेस्टर 1 के हैं तो वो सेमेस्टर 1 की क्लास में जाएंगे, वहाँ पे उनके एट्रीब्यूट्स और फंक्शंस और होंगे. सेमेस्टर 2 के हैं तो वहाँ पे उनकी प्रॉपर्टीज़ और होंगी. सिमिलरली अगर आप BSIT के अलावा BS इंग्लिश या BS केमिस्ट्री की बात करें तो वो और क्लास में फॉल करेंगे. तो क्लास हमेशा उन स्टूडेंट्स की होती है जिनकी प्रॉपर्टीज सेम होती हैं और जो सेम फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, वो सेम सब्जेक्ट पढ़ते हैं, सेम कोर्सेज होते हैं उनके, सेम टाइम पे उनका मिड टर्म होता है, सेम पेपर उनको डिलीवर किया जाता है, फिर उनका असेसमेंट का मैकेनिज्म बाकी भी सेम होता है, फाइनल टर्म भी उनके सेम डेट पे होते हैं. तो बिकॉज ऑफ सिमिलर प्रॉपर्टीज दे आर ग्रुप्ड इनटू अ सिंगल क्लास. ये मुमकिन नहीं है कि आपकी एक क्लास हो तो उसमें कुछ ऑब्जेक्ट्स की प्रॉपर्टीज कुछ और हों. फॉर एग्जांपल, स्टूडेंट की क्लास हो तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स और सब्जेक्ट पढ़ रहे हो और कुछ स्टूडेंट और सब्जेक्ट पढ़ रहे हो. ऐसा मुमकिन नहीं होगा. क्लास हमेशा ऐसे ही स्टूडेंट्स की बनेगी जो सेम सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ रहे होंगे और सेम टास्क परफॉर्म कर रहे होंगे. अगर उनके सब्जेक्ट्स या प्रॉपर्टीज डिफरेंट हो जाती हैं या उनका बिहेवियर डिफरेंट हो जाता है तो इसका मतलब है कि उनकी करैक्टरिस्टिक्स डिफरेंट हो गई. और जब उनकी करैक्टरिस्टिक्स डिफरेंट हो गई तो वो एक क्लास के मेंबर्स या इंस्टेंसेस नहीं कहलाएंगे. तो एक क्लास के लिए ज़रूरी है कि उस क्लास के जितने भी ऑब्जेक्ट इंस्टेंसेस हैं उन सब की प्रॉपर्टी सेम हो और वो सेम बिहेवियर या फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करें. सो while defining the term class, always remember that similar objects mean the objects having similar properties and perform similar functions are grouped into a single unit, and that single unit or template is called a class. A class consists on variables or data and methods or functions. In Java, we have methods, while in C++ we have functions, and we have data that would be used in classes. सो बिल्कुल आप इसको इस तरह समझ सकते हैं कि C++ में आपने फंक्शंस पढ़े हैं और स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ा है। अगर फंक्शंस और स्ट्रक्चर्स को कंबाइन कर दिया जाए तो आपकी एक क्लास बन जाएगी जिसमें डाटा भी होगा और फंक्शंस भी होंगे। तो एक सिंगल यूनिट दैट कंटेन डाटा as well as the functions that would be performed on objects are grouped into a single class. For example, if we have a class, we would have two parts of it. The first part contain the data part, that would include the data or the characteristics or the attributes of the objects. For example, we have int a, character c and float x. This data represent the attributes of an object, and we have two methods or functions, show and input, in the second part of the class. So a class would have, or based on two parts, the data part and the function part. So data part contain the attribute or properties of the object, and the function part contains the functions or methods that would be performed on this data. This private and public are the access specifiers that specify the access of data or functions throughout the program. We will discuss access specifier in detail, but over here we have a little discussion on private and public data और functions. तो ऐसा डाटा जिसको हम प्राइवेट डिक्लेयर कर देते हैं, इसका मतलब ये होता है कि ये डाटा आउटसाइड द क्लास एक्सेसिबल नहीं होगा, और जिसको हम पब्लिक डिक्लेयर कर देते हैं, इट मीन दैट दीज functions would be accessible outside the class. So these access specifiers has set the access that data is not accessible outside the class, while function can be accessed outside the class. So that is why they are set as public and the data is set as private, because we do not want to give the access of data outside the class. So that is why we have placed private over here, so that this data cannot be accessed outside the class, and show and input functions can be accessed outside the class. So therefore they are set as public. And similarly we have also a third accessifier, that is protected. We will discuss private, public and protected access specifiers in detail. लेकिन इस जगह पे आप ये समझ सकते हैं कि वो प्रॉपर्टीज जिनकी एक्सेस हम आउटसाइड द क्लास नहीं देना चाह रहे, विद इन द क्लास हम चाह रहे हैं कि उनकी एक्सेस रहे, उन प्रॉपर्टीज को हम प्राइवेट डिक्लेयर करेंगे, और ऐसी प्रॉपर्टीज जिनको हम थ्रू आउट द प्रोग्राम एक्सेस देना चाह रहे हैं, उन प्रॉपर्टीज को हम पब्लिक डिक्लेयर करेंगे. तो चूंकि डाटा सेंसिटिव होता है, इसकी इंटीग्रिटी मेंटेन रखनी होती है, इसलिए डाटा को हम जो है वो प्राइवेट डिक्लेयर करते हैं, और फंक्शंस को मोस्टली पब्लिक रखा जाता है, क्योंकि फंक्शन एक्सेस किए जाने हैं बाय अदर मेंबर्स, बाय अदर फंक्शंस आउटसाइड द क्लास. तो जिनकी एक्सेस हमें आउटसाइड द क्लास देनी है उनको हम पब्लिक डिक्लेयर करेंगे, और जिनको हम बाउंड करना चाहते हैं कि वो आउटसाइड द क्लास एक्सेस ना हो, उनको हम प्राइवेट डिक्लेयर करेंगे. सो अ क्लास कंसिस्ट ऑन टू पार्ट्स, डाटा पार्ट and function part. Function part would contain methods and data part would contain the data that would be used in these functions. Example of a class in C++ with reference to C++. Let's discuss the basic format of a class. class test. This test is the name of the class, while class is a keyword. So whenever you need to define a class, start it with the keyword class and its name. It may be any name, it's up to you. Over here the name of the class is test. This is the boundary of the class, and within this class we have only one function, that is show, and we have set this function as public. We haven't defined any data in this class, only one member function is there. So one thing always remember, the data of the class is called as member data and the functions of the class are called as member functions. So in object-oriented programming, while discussing the concept of classes, always use the term member data and member function instead of simple data and simple functions. So we have only one member function over here, that is show, and we haven't introduced member data in this class. So only one member function, and this is the end of the class. In the same way, if we discuss the basic definition of a class in Java, we have a package, started with the package, and the package name is here, oops. We have declared this class as public, and the name of the class is oop. The class name and the package name must be the same, and we have set the access specifier public over here. This public has the same meaning as this class would be accessible or be used throughout the program. So we have set this as public. And while declaring the class as public, it would also mean that the functions, member functions and member data would remain the same access specifier as public and private. So always declare the term class as public. You may also use it as private or protected depending upon your requirement, but over here you need to access this class throughout the program, so you have declared it as public. The class name is oop. This is the class scope. Scope means boundary of the class. Here the class start and this is the end of the class, so this is the scope of the class. And scope include the member function and member data. And over here again we have only one member function, that is main. Public, static, void main, only one member function from which the execution would start, and system.out.println, example of a class would be printed. We have already discussed this basic concept in Java. So this is the first basic definition of a class and class name, and only one member function that is also declared as public. Main method is there. Execution always start from this class because it includes the main method, and this main method has this scope. Starting and ending bracket represent the scope of this method, and system.out.println, example of a class would be displayed. So this is the basic definition of a class in Java. So let's review this lecture again. Object-oriented programming is the most modern technique that is used in nowadays. Object-oriented programming has lot of benefits And the most prominent feature of object-oriented programming is reusability. We can reuse the code written through object-oriented programming again and again, and in this way we would have less effort, less time, and greater flexibility. So programs are organized in the form of objects and classes. These are some of the applications of object-oriented programming. Some object-oriented languages, some basic concepts. So today we have discussed objects and classes. In the next lecture we will start from the term data hiding, data abstraction and encapsulation. We will discuss these properties. Today we have discussed only objects and classes. Hopefully you have understood the concept of objects and classes. So in the next lecture we will discuss other properties of object-oriented programming. Thank you very much.